Hey everybody, welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another YBMcast. And today I have with me Mitch Thomas from the Hitting Zone. Mitch, welcome into the studio.
And it's been a couple of weeks.
It has, it's summertime, right? Summertime. You're rolling all over the world trying to coach baseball. I don't know, man. I'm just making that up.
No, we are.
It sounded good though.
It did. We had a nice camp, a youth camp. We had 60. We had 68 campers.
Oh, good.
We had that over at Dardine Sports Complex. So we had a bunch of kids between the ages of 8 and 12. So it was a blast.
That's awesome. I think there's a lot of opportunities, like, the high schools are doing their camps, and you get all the different, I think it's great. Kids can get out, get some exercise, get some work in. Helps parents too.
Oh, heck yeah. They get to go shopping or, whatever the heck that they want to do. They're like, oh, we could, it's a cheap way to pay a babysitter. I'm in. Stay away. Let us run our camp. Love it.
So today, there's been all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff going on in baseball from the top level, with the pitchers being checked. You're always getting conversations. And I think it's always interesting that a lot of the conversations start happening toward the end of the year. I think people are getting tired. Baseball's been going since, mid-March?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely for the youth, the younger age groups, absolutely.
High school just finished up. You got the high school players starting to get in. And the high school players, they're going to go through till August, with some of these bigger tournaments. You got, still rolling down through, PBR, perfect game, pastime, because the kids are just coming out of high school. So you'll have some of these high school programs still playing another 50, 60 games.
Yeah. Where we're at, we don't, our high school kids are kind of done mid-July, with football starting. We got a bunch of two-sport athletes, and so we kind of shut it down mid-July for our guys. But I do think that there's a couple fall tournaments that they're trying to put together. Maybe practice isn't so much, but we do. It's been a wild ride. I know that one of our 15U teams is in Slava, and we've had some rainouts happen, and so now they're going to play 3 or 4 games a week, and then on the tournaments. Wow. I know for our 15U team, I think we have 9 games in 10 days. Something that they've never been used to.
Wow, that reminds me. I'm glad you picked that up. Because I had Mike Buda on the show a while back talking about Slava, and it's still hanging in there.
It is.
I think the Slava League here is doing probably a little better than American Legion.
I think so. I haven't seen what Legion's doing. I know that they're struggling for guys. It seems like what Slava is doing it's not the old the American Nationals group where they're drawing from a certain area. I think it's starting the Slava's surviving because of clubs.
Yes.
Because the Capitals are in it, the Tribe is in it, Gas House is in it, the Mariners are in it. It's not an area.
And that's the thing, because you look at what used to be the Stallions merged with
the Sting.
Became Gas House Baseball, and now they're in Slava.
Yeah. Dan Seddon over there with I guess Stallions or the Seddon family, they're trying to keep it alive. And Dan's trying to bring it back to what Slava was, with Bedlock there. So he's trying real hard. And I think what it works for us is there's not really a high school league that's focused on 7 innings. It's play the game out. It's not a time limit. So you're playing on high school fields.
Right.
So I think that's what's exciting about Slava versus maybe going to CNH and playing a league over there.
With time limits. And
it's
you might get in
baseball.
5 innings. No, it's a real game. I agree, because Justin played a couple years Slava with the Stallions, and so I've been part of it. I like Slava. I have and there's some good quality clubs. You have Jeffco down there, I think, or the JC Blazers.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, I don't. They're not in our age group, so I don't know if they're.
Yeah, because
older.
some of the younger, they don't have teams at every age level,
right?
Do they?
Right. You see some of the older kids have something that's a little bit different, but it's giving kids an opportunity to get the high school feel, or continuing the high school season.
Right.
You know, playing every 3 to 5 days of work a week, and I actually think that Slava could be a very positive thing in our community for sure.
Here's the thing, and this is what yeah, you know, everybody has opinions, right? We all know what they're like. So, but we're going to give ours, and I give mine, and you can listen to me. You can say that guy's out of his flaming mind. I don't really that doesn't bother me. I'm not. It doesn't hurt my feelings. This is what I think. Right?
I have one.
Right. Exactly. And somebody may. But here's what we're talking about. I've believed for some time that, and we were talking just before we started here, off the camera, but I'm going to bring it up because I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about these things. We're getting ready for tryouts. You know, all the tryouts are started. Everybody's posting their tryouts, all the clubs and this and that, and that's great, fine. You know, that's the way it should be, okay. But, you know, what I have seen over the past 3 years, especially when we've been working with Game 7. Big shout out to Dave and Dave. We're getting ready. You know, we got the weekend here, and then they're coming up to their World Series. We're looking forward to those things. We're going to be out there with the cameras and stuff, have some fun. I see a lot of AA teams. A lot of AA teams. And I see some AAA teams that I believe are AA. What is the and I think the toughest thing is this defining factor of AA to AAA to major. And we put AAA major together. We put AA together. But what defines a AA player? What defines a AAA player? What defines a major player? And I'll be honest with you. I think that is the struggle in all this. And you have these tournament directors, and it's tough on them. I don't care what you say; it's tough on them. And they have this AA team that's just killing everybody, right? Mm-hmm. We got to move you up, and are we really that good? They go up to AAA, they may just get pounded. Who knows what defines that? And I think it's tough on these tournament directors. They're relying on teams coming and playing with them. That's how they make their money. We understand that, but that's what tournaments are. They're there for that. Everybody enjoys it. Everybody's working hard to try and create the best atmosphere for the kids as possible. But tell me, I mean, I'm talking to you, and I'm sure there's others. And if you want to, please leave a comment in the below. I'd love to see what people define a AA player, a AAA player, or a major player.
This is interesting, especially when you're talking younger kids that maybe only playing baseball 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. They're just coming out of maybe a machine pitch, and they're getting 9U baseball and it's kid pitch. For me, it's always when I see a kid who has it, it's always IQ. The IQ, the athleticism is just different for them. Their knowledge of the sport, how they watch TV and watch Cardinals games or games in general. You can have a conversation and say, "Hey, if this happens here? What are you supposed to do?" They can answer it.
Yeah.
Then they go out and execute it. That kid maybe talent-wise, maybe he's not having a great season, but he knows how to play the game. He's talking on the field. Those are guys who are preparing to try to win, and I think that's like for even getting in that 12U group and in our high school group, the difference between our two 15U teams is one talks a whole heck of a lot more than the other one. And so this team is a little bit better than this group. They're an AA team, if you will, to standards of youth sports, but this team's a little bit better. And it's because they talk. It's because they're putting themselves in positions to fail. That's a really, really, really tough question because you're starting to question a kid's desires at like 10U.
And I think, does it go, to your point, does it go more to the physicality of it other than the knowledge of it? Because how do you rate and rank the knowledge of baseball in a 9 and 10 and 11-year-old?
Well, I was talking to we played the Capitals last night. That's Buddha's organization, correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I was talking to their coach. He's a Hazelwood West guy, North County kid. And I had a conversation with him, long one last night, and he had mentioned simple motor skills. He said it's not just baseball IQ too. You know, he's talking about, I mean, we drop a ball, it's hard to pick it up. You know, it's running to a spot, catching a fly ball. It's like if the ball hits your glove, you should catch it, right? He said some of it's motor skills, you know, not developed there. You know, walking and chewing gum at the same time. It's some of these things can be difficult for kids, and so are the expectations that we're putting out there are real. You know, as a club, we're trying to advertise, hey, we're going to be a AAA major team, and then when we get the team together, it's a AA team. And are we just selling?
Well, but and then I think this goes back to, you know, I'm of this opinion. Okay, this is what I think. I've read the Matheny Manifesto, and I disagree completely with Mr. Matheny in the fact that I don't believe parents are the problem. I just don't. I don't buy it. It's not there. Are there parents that are problems? Yes. Are there coaches that are problems? Absolutely. Are there umpires that are problems? Yes. Are there tournament directors that are problems? Yes. Everybody has to do their part. It's understanding how we work together and people being realistic. You can't just say, well, they're the problem. That's stupid.
Yeah, I think this goes back to our first conversation I think we had on air.
Yeah. Are there parents that create problems? Yes, sir. That's a fact. You can't escape that. But that doesn't make all the parents bad. It's not the way we should look at things. We should look at having the conversation. We're adults. We're supposed to be the adults, right?
It's supposed to be.
Okay. Then let's be adults and have the conversations and be realistic with parents. You know what? If you want to stay in this club, that's great. But we're assessing your child. And as you said, I think that's a great point, Mitch. The motor skills really aren't there for his athletics. If you want to stay, and we'll work and and we'll assess them, we'll tell you what we think honestly. But see, that's part of the problem. We don't want to have that conversation because it might take away. But there's plenty of opportunities to generate revenues with other players and kids and things like that. Maybe parents need to be honest with themselves and say, you know what, I'm going to put my kid in the recreational league. If he enjoys playing baseball and he wants to get better, then we'll take a look at that and then spend the money that way. Are we going? But that, I think, sits at the issue right there. We're forcing these issues rather than being honest about what we're doing. And that's just what I see across the board.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, we have a club, and we're part of that problem, if you will, as well.
And I don't even want to assess it as a problem. I just think it's just what it is.
Well, we're not like you said though. We're not identifying what we really are as a club.
Okay,
I don't want to sell myself as we are this.
Right.
I give my teams what they want. So if you tell me you want training, we're going to give you everything you want. You have to pay for these things, of course,
yeah,
right?
Because
but at the end
nothing's
of the day,
free, right?
At the end of the day, if you want this, I'm going to give you this. If you have expectations for your teams, it's this. I have a group of coaches now that are on that board. Everybody's on board with that. Let's do what's best for these kids. Let's not play at a AAA level if we're a AA team. If we go out there and we're a AA team and we're winning a bunch, let's go get challenged.
There you go.
You know,
and that's
if
acceptable.
They go up there and get beat in one tournament, they don't go backwards. They keep trying. And if after 2 or 3 tournaments they get their tails whipped, then they say, okay, well, maybe we're just a really good AA tournament. Let's go find a better AA tournament.
And I think there lies another thing that can be done. What you just said there. Why do we rely on the tournament director to push us up to the next level? Challenge yourself. If you're killing everybody at AA, go to AAA and play. You shouldn't have to wait on the tournament director to go, look, you're just crushing everybody. We can't leave you in the AA anymore. That shouldn't be their decision. That should be on the coach to look at and assess the players that they have. You know what? We need to take that next step here. We're going to go play in this AAA tournament. If we get beat up a little bit, we'll come back. But if you talk to the tournament directors around the area or whoever and said, we are listed as AA, we've been winning a lot, we're going to push here to this, we want to see where we're at. And having these conversations, it's a tough thing And it's something, and I'm not saying it ain't happening or there aren't clubs that are doing this. That's not my point. We're just talking. We're talking through these things, what we're seeing in youth baseball. And I think these conversations need to be more. It's not about singling out the parents or, the umpires or the tournament director. I always hate this fact, it was always somebody else's fault. Quit making excuses. Let's just focus on being better. Stop making excuses and let's focus on how we are better.
That's what we're trying to do. I mean, This whole thing is just interesting. The volume of athletes, the volume of teams, and I just want to sit down and create some sort of governing body for this. I
Good luck with that.
I know, and I get it, but it has to be. This could be the start of it, though. This could be where we use this platform to get in the directors of baseball tournaments. Get in some organizations to come in here. We talked about it before. Hockey does such an amazing job on evaluating the talent of the athletes. And I don't know why we can't do that as clubs even. How does it, we get lost? Our athletes, I think, get lost in having 3-4 teams at one age group.
I'll tell you, I'll give you an honest opinion of what I think in that respect, what you just said. How much ice can you find?
There's not a lot of ice.
Not a lot of ice, right? Unless you're up in Canada.
There's a lot of dirt. I see where you're going.
A lot of dirt. And I can just take my ball and go over here. And I think that happens a lot, rather than people wanting to work together, Mitch.
I agree. I think you're starting to see some change, though. I'll be quite honest, because you're starting to see mergers happening all over the baseball community. We are potentially going through them. We'll remain the tribe, but we're taking a few independent teams that want to kind of merge, who are good teams, or maybe 2 or 3 teams that want to have the experience that the hitting zone offers versus not necessarily the tribe program. I think that's good for us. I think what needs to happen at the end, though, I don't want to see a dad go starting a team just so little Jimmy can go get some extra reps or gets to be a guy that plays every day. I want that kid to have to find a team that he can enjoy his time on. Dad doesn't need to go out there and have 6 good players and 6 kids that should be playing somewhere else. Let's put all of these kids at pool together and say, okay, this is a AA level team. This is a major team. Let's put our best coaches here, because and I know I'm off all over the place here, but there's
but that goes back to our original point. What's a AA, AAA? I mean, we kind of, but it's all within that same construct of what is a AA player, what's a AAA player, and what's a major player.
Well, we don't have enough coaching. Again, having the conversation with the Capitals coach last night, he said there's not enough good coaching out there. I said, actually, there's a lot of good coaching. There's just too many teams that need coaches that shouldn't be coaching. And I'm not saying that I don't applaud these guys for doing this, but I'm strictly coming from a travel select term. I think there's enough baseball to play. OCAC has a great facility. Chesterfield has a great facility. The New Horizons leagues have great parks that you can play at. Why can't those kids simply just play baseball at that level?
Go have some fun, man.
But what are we chasing at 9, 10 years old? We want to call ourselves select. You want to wear a certain uniform, and you want to have this status as. This is where I think parents are wrong. I don't think that parents are bad, but what are we chasing? Are we chasing a name because of the way that the facility looks, or because the upper levels have great development and what are we actually telling our athletes? What if they don't want to play baseball? What if they want to be volleyball? What if they want to play basketball? We have no idea. We're not letting them.
When you look around at tournaments, and I pull up a lot of results and I look at things and whatnot, and you see in tournaments where you're supposed to have this high level baseball and whatnot, and you're seeing teams getting run ruled. Okay. Now that becomes an issue. And you see maybe a handful scattered throughout there that are close ball games, right? And then you get into Championship Sunday and you get some decent ball game, but then I've seen on Championship Sunday teams just get waxed. Why? They're out of pitching. Because you carry 10 dudes. Listen, I'm gonna say this because we did the show yesterday and we follow a couple of teams that run 10 players. And this, in my estimation, is rare in today's world, in today's baseball. The St. Louis Dynamite Black, Dave Hartman's club, 14U. There is a 12U Midwest Mavericks team out of Springfield. Oh, geez, I wish I could remember that coach's name. That's terrible. I'm sorry, coach. We did that. And we follow a couple kids on Instagram. They follow us. And this one young man, JJ Zeros, this kid at 12U has 16 home runs. 16 home runs, dude.
Like over the fence?
Over the fence.
Can I ask real quick, how did he get JJ Zeros? Does he pitch too?
His name is Jeremiah Jones, I believe it is.
That is.
I just know JJ, and his number is Zeros. JJ Zeros.
Okay.
And I mean,
love
this
it.
kid,
That's a great
I know,
Instagram
right?
name.
This kid is a stud. This team has 10 players, and they posted they won a chance. Did they win it or were they runners up, Justin? I believe they won it, right? 5-0 Father's Day tournament, playing top competition. He goes, we walk in with 10 dudes. We go compete. All 10 dudes pitch. And that's the same way it's saying. How rare is that?
I'm like wanting 12 and 13 just so that I may have a PO in there or two.
Right.
Even at like a 12, 13U level, that's hats off to those dudes for being able to do that and play through a tournament weekend for sure.
You know as well as I do, if you can get through to Sunday and have a couple arms left, you're feeling really good.
To be 5-0 in a tournament, for one, it's got to be at least 10 teams or so in there.
Right.
That's a gauntlet. For me, I just in the baseball sense, you see that stuff happen all the time in the softball community. You will run 2 or 3 pitchers out there all weekend long, and you might play 6-7 games in a weekend. Don't see that in baseball.
That to me, when you can go and play at a national level in national tournaments, and when I mean national, I'm talking about you've got teams coming from multiple areas, different areas of the country. And you compete. You may not win the tournament, but you're competing. You're 2-1 ball games. You're this, that. You're not getting smoked. You may go 2-3, right? Okay, great. Whatnot? Competing. That to me sets you as a major team. If you can go and compete at a regional level, and you're doing the same thing, and you're winning, you're doing those things, that to me sets you as a AAA team. I don't care across the board. AA teams compete at a state level. I think that's where that goes to. That's just my estimation. And that's the best way that I can describe this. This is my opinion. And if I think more teams would do that, I think you would see the playing field level out. And you put those kids, but can you find how many of those kids play at that AAA in a regional? You're going to Chicago, you're going to Mississippi. That doesn't mean you can't travel to a tournament in Mississippi. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the designations that we talked about: AA, AAA, major.
In your own state, I think that kind of goes back to what Jerry started with the prospects a long time ago, by just taking this special group of talent and this team travels all over.
Yes.
I've made those mistakes as a coach. I've literally said, okay, we have this team. We're going to go here because, when you start to get that recruiting age, you're like, well, we need to go to these states to get recruited, da-da-da-da.
Right.
I'm like, well, we have this level of play, so we go, and then we go 0-7.
Yes.
We don't deserve to be there.
Right.
Well, sometimes you need to have that wake-up call, so it's worth it going. And then they're like, okay, well, maybe you were right. Maybe we need to stay more regional. Maybe it's a 4-hour drive from home instead of a 10-hour drive from home. Because there's a lot of tournaments in Indiana, Kansas City, over in Illinois that are good enough to challenge your mid-level groups. And
Agreed.
I think
And still looking to play at the collegiate level that you want to if you're going to a smaller school, a NAIA, a Division III, even to maybe the Division II, depending. There's a lot of good schools. How do you develop yourself? How are you getting better? But understanding what you're being recruited against, even at those levels. When you go into that regional type tournament, we went down to Joplin when Justin, I was 14, I believe, Justin. Yeah, 14U. And there was probably, maybe 3 or 4 kids on that team that, it was 15U, wasn't it? That were probably at a different level than the other kids, and whatnot. We played the Arkansas Prospects. Okay? They're a good club. They have that national level team as well. Well, this team came up, and the one young man that we faced started on the mound. He's upper 80s. I mean, we had 3 hits. Okay? So there you go, right? What do you do? And I looked at all these young men. I said, that's who you're being recruited against, okay? In the region, just in the region. Now this kid may be national, but the team itself, I said, these are players that these groups, they'll go and look at before you. Do you understand? Now understand what you're thinking about, what's your next step, and being honest with players and being honest with these kids.
I think it's easy. I think it's easy to identify that when you're older.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree.
I think a lot of the issues start at the younger age groups with that mindset theory. Everybody still thinks their kid is this.
Yeah.
I think high school really opens up a lot of eyes for people, especially if they don't make their high school teams. You know, and I'm not trying to pick on.
No,
my son didn't make the high school team, and so, but I'm very aware of his abilities. He loves baseball. He wants to be around his friends and play the game. I don't pay the money for my son to go do all of these things because I'm identifying what he is. He's always been this way. I have never spent the money on him. My oldest daughter, it's a different story. She was talented enough. She had the opportunity to play college softball at a high level. So we did everything we could to make sure she got it. Now, they're 2 different athletes. And I had to wrap my head around that my son was not as talented as my daughter. So this is what we're going to do to give him the best. Well, now he's old enough. He makes his own decisions, and he wants to work. He works. So he's a little bit better than he was yesterday. At 9, 10, we're forcing kids to do all of these things that they may not want to do. And I understand that takes away from even what I do as a business, because we do train a lot of kids at our facility. But if the 10-year-old kid doesn't want to be there, the session is a waste.
Yeah.
The money is a waste. Like, let's identify what he wants, wrap our heads around that, and then that'll help us. It also help us out. Is that kid a AA guy? No, he doesn't want to be there.
Right?
He's a single A recreational kid or whatever you want to call it. Is he a major kid?
Agreed.
He's in there like whole 30 minutes. He's all locked in.
Yeah.
And when you have that kid, it's like the lesson is easy. The conversations on the side when you're picking up baseballs, you're talking about baseball IQ. It's just the kids are just different. They're just different. The way they pump strikes, they're not afraid of things. The way they communicate, it is so much fun watching that level. But what stinks is when you're like a AA team and your high school is different. You don't really have AA, single A, major anymore. We walked into a tournament that we shouldn't have been playing in. We got our butts kicked. Okay, we took something from that.
Yeah.
The kids learned from it. They got better at it the next week. But we're playing in tournaments that are their level.
Yeah.
And everybody is okay with it. But everybody bought into that. Would they have bought into it at the 10U level? Because they're still holding on to this, my kid's a major. My kid still has high school to get to or middle school ball or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know where we fail or if you even want to call it failure when we're younger.
No, I agree. I mean, you can't. I think it's a matter of just how do it's got to start somewhere, though. And are we willing to do that?
I would just love to. I would love to take the top 100. You can't. I would hate to rank a 10-year-old kid, but let's put a bunch of 10-year-olds out there. Let's put 1,000 kids out there.
And, honestly, we see a lot of AA squads every week. We see a lot of AA squads, and these kids are having fun. There's a lot of kids going out and playing, just really enjoying the game and having fun. They're in the tournament. They didn't win. Everybody would like to win, but they come over, they sit down, we do the interviews, we have some fun. It's still a game. Let's keep it that way. There'll be a time where the kids will get serious, more and more serious, and there are kids that take on that seriousness and really just take off from the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. But at some point, I think it's a real question. AA, AAA, major. What is that level? And I think there is some opportunity for clubs to think through these things, if they will.
Yeah, we have two 13U teams as well. That's obviously youth, and they still have one more year of youth baseball left. And both of them have started out playing recreational baseball. They've stuck together for the most part. They have moved up through single A, AA, and now they're winning AA tournaments. And so instead of just winning, they want to be challenged because they want to see if next year they should play a full schedule of AAA baseball.
There you go.
So they're getting that taste now. And they're doing that on their own. That's what they want,
and that should be the case.
Yeah, and I don't have to force that to them. And I think everybody has a realization of what they have as a group. And so, are they going to make some changes? Some kids don't want to play at that level. They're getting to the age where it's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
At 50, 60 games this summer. Let's change this up. I want to just do here. So you might have to replace 2 or 3 kids from those teams. But Coach Jason Nicodime played college baseball. Coach Matt Sism played college baseball. Coach Price, all these guys have played. They understand what it takes to, be that guy and how to get to that guy. But it's patience. They are playing at the level that they should be competing at, and they have the kids that are doing it. The kids that don't, they have to get there. And that's when you say, okay, well, we don't want to do team training because not everybody needs this. Let's take this kid. He needs to get more pitching in. This kid needs to get more hitting in. So we're identifying the roles of where they struggle, and we're putting them in positions. So if it's cognitive training, if it's very simple things like that, we are providing. We provide that stuff to that coach and that team, and it's working for us. Yeah. But it's simple. I can do that because we don't have 5. And I'm not sure anybody around here has 5. I'm exaggerating here, but we don't have multiple teams at that age group that we say, oh well, we don't have time for you.
Folks, thanks for joining us today. This is a tough conversation. It's one of those ones that has to be had, and I think it's an interesting one, and we'll continue these conversations. This is what this is about. We want to bring perspective to the youth baseball community. Again, this may not be your opinion, and it may not be, and I want to say, thanks to Game 7 Baseball, they're a sponsor of ours. These opinions may not reflect them as well. And I would do that. Don't put things in places. We're talking about issues. We're talking about things that we see in youth baseball around the area and asking an honest question. Please, again, if you like what we're doing, hit that subscribe button, hit the dinger, because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think, right?
Absolutely. I would love to see a comment because I would love to see, I want to see people's opinions on this so that I can have my eyes open to something I'm missing.
I think that's great. And, please, love to hear what you have to say. We appreciate you tuning in. As always, you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters, hit them where they ain't. And everybody have a great day in the Lord, and we'll see you next time.